In today's video, I want to show you how you can combine coloring and free motion quilting in a project. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts. Before we get into today's topic, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do coloring on fabric and how to do some free motion quilting to emphasize the design. Now, I did a previous video where I showed you how to use crayons to color an applique design, and if you haven't seen that video already, I'll put a link in the description below so you can watch it. Today's project is this peacock. It's one of my designs. I call it Large Peacock, and I actually took it and enlarged it again to make it the size I wanted for this wall hanging. So I've traced the design out and I've colored it. Now you can use different things, different materials to color these designs. In the previous video I used crayons, so you can just use Crayola crayons. You don't have to have any special ones. And in this particular project I use these watercolor pencils from Staedtler. Now I use them just as a pencil crayon. You can apply water afterwards to kind of blend them. I didn't do that. And there's a caveat here you have to be aware of, and that is if you are going to use these, then you're not going to be able to wash your project, because I suspect that the colors will either wash out or get really blurry all over the place. So I don't typically wash my wall hangings, so I'm not too concerned about that. That's why I chose those today. So I've got my design all down here, and it looks pretty good. I could just do some background free motion quilting and it'd be done and hanging on the wall. But I'm going to use free motion quilting to really emphasize this design, give it some extra oomph, okay? How did I come about with this? Well, it started actually earlier this year. I had a wall hanging that I had done. This is a design from the Hot Chocolate Club by Pearl Louise Crush, and this is one of the applique blocks in it. So you can see what it looks like, and this is how the pattern's designed. It's for applique. But I thought that this particular block would look kind of cute done it as a wall hang, so I traced it on fabric and I colored it with crayons. And I didn't do too much free motion quilting, as you can see on it. I did some decorative stitching around the background fabric between it and the border, and I stitched the star down, but other than that there's not really much going on here. So this project hung up in our house for years at Christmas time, and then this past Christmas I thought, I think I can do a little bit more with this design, because first off, I knew a little bit more about free motion quilting than I did when I first made this. So what I decided to do was to use some thread to outline the design. So I took black thread, because I thought that worked well for the type of design this is and the colors in it, and I free motion quilted around all the different parts in this design. And I didn't just do them once. I went around them at least 3 times to give emphasis. So you can see how this looks, and you can see that I added some additional free motion quilting in the background as well, and I think it looks really great, so I'm glad I did this. So sometimes you've got to step out of your comfort zone and try something a little different and see how it works out, and I was really pleased with these results. So that's what I want to show you how to do in today's project with the peacock here, the Large Peacock. Now, the one thing you need to decide is what kind and color of thread are you going to use. So whereas I used the black thread for the snowman, and I think that worked out quite well, I don't think I'm going to use black on this particular one. I do have different black threads here. I've got a cotton, I've got a rayon, and I've got a polyester thread. But I think that the black would be quite harsh on this. I want it to be a little softer, I want it to look a little more elegant. Okay, because of the type of design. So while I could, I don't think I will, use black thread. I could use kind of a gray, silvery kind of color, and that's not too bad actually. That might look quite nice as well. So that's a choice. This is a polyester as well, has a little bit of sheen. And I also have these aqua colors. Now I'm a sucker for aqua thread. I love the color aqua. And so I was looking at these. And of course the border has this aqua color in it as well. So these are kind of 2 contenders. These are both glide thread, as is the silvery, kind of gray silvery color. And I'm trying to decide which one I like better, and I'm kind of tending towards this particular one. So I want to take this, I want to go around the peacock several times on all the parts that are traced, And then I will probably go in and do some of these additional lines as well. So I am going to get my machine set up for free motion quilting so I can show you how to do it. And the one thing I want you to realize when you're doing this with your projects is that you're practicing your free motion quilting skills, but the nice thing is you're going back and forth over the line. You don't have to be right on the line either, but when you're going back and forth, you don't really have to be concerned about the length of your stitches, because afterwards you're not going to be able to see it. You're just going to see this thread outline around your project. So you get some practice in without having to stress about doing it perfectly. So I'm going to go over to the machine. You can join me there and I'll show you how we're going to go about this process. I've got my machine all set up for free motion quilting, and I've got that gorgeous aqua thread in the top and in the bobbin as well. So I'm ready to start. I've brought up my thread, locked my stitches, and I'm just going to go around the wing here. So remember, I'm going around it about 3 times. You can go more if you want, but we're going to go for 3 before we stop. And I'll show you where I'm going to stop if I remember to do it properly. And I'll explain why. Here we go. Okay, once around so I can take a look and see what that looks like. I think that looks quite nice. So I don't have to be exactly on the drawn lines. These lines, I forgot to mention to you, but these lines are actually drawn with a friction pen, so they're going to come off afterwards. I'm just going to see the aqua thread. So I'm trying to stay close to them, but not, if I'm off them a bit, no problem. And I'm not necessarily going to be stitching exactly on the same stitch line. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try not to, which in my case means I usually do stitch on it. But anyway, it looks more interesting if you're not quite on the line. You don't want to be way far away from it, of course, but you don't have to stress if you're off the line a bit. That's totally fine. Okay, so there's my 3 lines of stitching done. Now this is not where I'm going to stop. I'm actually going to come up here and I'm going to stop here. And why am I doing that? Because I can continue on and then do the rest of the bird by doing that. Clever, eh? If you can think of a way to continue on, either by going over a previously stitched line or stopping at a strategic point, like I'm going to do here, that's great because you don't have to stop, lock your threads, cut your threads, start again, lock your thread, you know how it goes. So if you can be a bit strategic, that's great. If not, just be sure that you lock your threads before you cut them and start that new area. Alright, so I've gone once around the bird, now I'm going to go back around the other way. I'm going to actually move my... I know you're not supposed to do this when you're free motion quilting, supposedly, but I move my sandwich around quite a bit, especially when it's a smaller one. Okay, once more around. Alright, so here's part of my peacock done. So I'm liking the aqua thread. I'm a little bit more than I like here, but I don't really care. Again, you're not going to see that when I take off the friction pen. And the nice thing is, when you take off the whatever you use to mark the design with, whether it's a friction pen or some other kind of erasable pen, if there's a little bit like this, for example, guess what I can do? I can take my crayon and I can color that in, right? So that's kind of the nice part about this too. Same with up here. Okay, so I can color that in, that little area there, and it's going to look just fine. Okay, so you can kind of, fudge that a little bit afterwards, and no one will ever know that there was a gap there at the beginning. Now, if I was way over here or something, well, I'd probably stop and take the stitches out. You don't want to totally lose the design. But I'm just saying that, this is a bit of a flexible technique. So you've got some ways around that. All right, so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm liking the aqua thread. Oh, I think it looks really pretty, actually. And so I'm going to finish the rest of the design here. I'm going to go around the rest of the details here, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so there we go. I've got all the outline stitched, some of the interior designs, or details I should say. I decided not to put these in. I didn't want to do those, which is fine because they're going to be erased once I put the heat on them anyway, right? Now, the only other thing I have to do is the little eye here. So I may decide, I'm not going to put aqua on that, I think it'd look a little weird. And I actually might just use a Sharpie marker on there and on the eye itself and call it done. So the next thing I need to do is to take the iron on this and get off all those marks so you can see what it really looks like. I've taken the friction pen marks off, and this is what it looks like with those taken off. So you can see there's a little bit of area here. I can fill in those areas with the watercolor pencils. And now the only thing left to do is to do the rest of the free motion quilting around it, and that project will be finished. Now I've got all the free motion quilting done. I did some stitch in the ditch between the background, the border, and then just kind of this wavy kind of flower kind of shape that I did. So now that's all done. And if I want to add something in the borders, I will, but I might not because they're narrow and it's all together. So if you want to try doing a bit of experimenting, having some fun, why not consider using some crayons or pencil crayons or watercolor pencils on your applique design, and then do some free motion quilting around it to outline it like I did, and whatever your choice of thread may be that complements the design, the colors you've chosen, and then throw in some free motion quilting in the background, and you've got a quick and easy wall hanging. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to share it with your quilting friends, and if you want more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website, www.chatterboxquilts.com.